talk to members of Congress as well as the Department of Justice about stop and frisk and just kind of NYPD and their kind of racial profiling. And when we went to the briefing, we had average of about 25 congressional reps who came themselves to hear us talk about what's happening on the ground. And I had a testimony that was 5 minutes long. I was like, I'm gonna just wing it based on the conversation that was happening. And my first question to them was, who here has not signed on to IRPA, the End Racial Profiling Act, right? Because members of Congress kept telling us that we don't really have a lot of influence on the DOJ, like we'll try our best and we'll talk to them. And I said to them, the most fundamental thing that you can do is co-sponsor IRPA. IRPA is the End Racial Profiling Act. It would also cover surveillance. It would also, it had a lot of protected communities, including religious sexual orientation and all that stuff, whatever. And I basically asked them while they were there, and the reason why I asked was because half of the Democrats that were there, they were all Democrats, hadn't signed on to it. So how can you be my leader and talk to me about racial profiling and how bad you feel for us about what's happening in New York without doing the most fundamental thing, which is your job, to sign on to legislation like IRPA? So I encourage you to go back to your communities, to talk to your congressional reps if you have good ones, or you think they're good ones, to tell them that sign on to IRPA. There was also been a lot of talk here about the elections and whatnot, and I think that for what we have now, we have a long-term investment, but for now, on the local level, we need people in Congress that are going to represent us, represent our values. So we need to really think about what can we do on a local level to make the issues we're talking about today, the priorities, and putting people in a position where they have to talk about our issues and talk about them in a way that we want them to talk about it. And then when they're in office, do what they talked about, and then for us to be able to hold them accountable to that. And the last thing that I'll say that, me personally, and what I'm teaching my young people in my community, and I work for the National Network, which means I get to travel around the country and speak to Arab communities across the country, mostly interested in young people. And what I'm telling them is that I want them to go out into the world and say that we will not give up our civil rights or civil liberties to give a full sense of security to anyone. And that's basically our message and my message to our young people nationally. And if you want to continue to hear me, and I'm sure my fellow panelists also do this too, feel free to follow me on Twitter. I run my mouth about this all day long, every day, all day, into the wee hours of the morning, because I feel strongly about it, and I feel like I want to talk to the world about it, and I hope that people follow our conversation and figure out how to get involved with us. And the last point is, a lot of people raised their hands and said that they were from New York. On June 17, we're going to be congregating at 1 o'clock, silent march in New York City, to end racial profiling and stop and frisk. Be there. You want to look 20 years from now and tell your grandchildren, your children, that you were there at that march. Because what we haven't done really well in this country is we haven't had mass mobilization like they had in the 60s and those times. So we need to, I feel like silent march in New York City is going to be a public demonstration of our collective beautiful colors and where we're all from in New York City. And if you're from the tri-state area, join us, 110 Fifth Avenue, Father's Day, June 17th. What better way to spend Father's Day than with us in New York City?
So I know that folks want to run out really quickly, but I was going to say, I want to end on a positive, not on a positive note, but at least a hilarious note, because this is a very difficult conversation to have. Those of you that are reading and writing about this know that it can be really depressing. And there are two things that help me get through it regularly. One is chocolate, which I'm trying to cut back on. And the other is good laughs. And so for those that didn't see it last year, I hope this will be a treat. There was that shit they say meme that just kept going around and going around on the internet. And of course, these two kids, I don't know who they are, but they're geniuses. They made a shit the FBI says video, which will, make you laugh and maybe identify the agents in your movement. So check it out as we exit.
Tell us about your Muslim friend. Tell us about your anarchist friend. Tell us about your environmentalist friend.
Your friends already talked to us. I've been to a few protests back in my day.
This isn't about politics.
We care about your cause. We just want to help you. My daughter's a vegetarian. My wife donates to Greenpeace. I know you're not like those other radical activists. We can do this the easy way or the hard way.
Real life isn't like a Law and Order episode, kid.
We don't need a warrant. We're gonna get a warrant anyways.
We've got nothing to hide. What are you afraid of?
I'm down the bacon straight edge as much as the next guy.
Too bad we can't kick their asses like they would in high school, right, dude?
Okay. Don't you remember 9/11? You're not a terrorist, are you? You pal around with terrorists? That's terrorism. You don't want to be a terrorist, do you? Okay. Terrorist! Terrorist! idea how I can join the ALF?
Do you know how I can meet the Earth Liberation Front? Or any other fronts?
I'm an anarchist. I'm gonna vote for Ron Paul. Wouldn't it be cool if we, like, burned something down?
I just don't think meeting politics are effective enough. We really need to step it up. Hey, do you guys have a lighter?